So welcome back, and in today's episode we're going to do a live quick preview for this upcoming matchup between the Giants and Vikings this afternoon, 1 p.m. MetLife Stadium. I usually do a preview video where I edit it up, usually add some images, and kind of have a better structure than what I'm going to do right now, but this week got away from me. My house, if you looked at the injury report going into this weekend, we had people doubtful, questionable, getting put on the IR long term. So just didn't have enough time to sit around and film a, preview video that I normally would. So having said that, let's dive into things for today's matchup. The Giants really, even though they have fired Dable, they fired Bowen, it's still the same old shit we see week in and week out. We're seeing some guys not trying hard on defense, teams just running the ball down the Giants' throat, even though Bowen is gone. And I don't think that's going to change for the rest of this year, right? There's something fundamentally wrong with where this organization is at, which is why I don't think Joe Shane could come back after this season. He's built these teams, so it's looking like it doesn't really matter who's coaching at this point. Like, even they got rid of Dable, Kafka's, been doing his thing, but and I think Jordan Renan was on ESPN New York yesterday, and he had a good point. This is a team, and we've said this too, that Joe Shane built. The results are the same, and there's a lot of chatter within the organization of, if it continues, if they lose the next, three and set a record for losses in a season, and they end up with the number one pick, like how could you possibly trust Joe Shane to make that pick? I personally don't see how you could. But that's the thing, there's a lot of things going on with the Giants organization right now. John Mara is battling cancer, so hopefully the other people that are in charge within the organization right now are trying to figure out what the next steps are, because Joe Shane cannot be a part of this moving forward. Yo, what's up, Omega? How you doing, bro? Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hope all's well. But just making my opening rant here about Joe Shane. I just don't think he could come back next year because of the drafting. And when you go back and you look at these drafts, I'll probably if they actually do bring him back, I'm going to have to do a longer video just talking about all the swings and misses that Joe Shane has had up until this point. And I think the biggest one right now, and even though he doesn't take full responsibility for it because he was just hired, I still don't care. But whiffing on Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal really has set everything back. Can you be quiet? I'm trying to sleep. You'd be a beautiful woman. Wow, the comments are getting out of control already. But yeah, so with Joe Shane, it's just getting to the point where he cannot possibly come back. And I think, when you have the beat reporter like Jordan Renan and all these guys who kind of make a lot of excuses for the Mariners, for the Giants, it's good to see that they're finally getting in the weeds of, like, we're hearing the chatter that he's probably not going to come back. So something to keep in mind moving forward as this season progresses. But to flip the switch a little bit here and keep progressing with this, is, the comments are coming in, would just be along the lines of, for today's matchup, Giants fans are weirdly obsessed with JJ McCarthy, and he was someone that we didn't draft, right? And so I don't understand why Giants fans always want to talk about him. And it was weird to see him get kind of dragged through the mud for having some bad games and being wildly inconsistent, but then turning into a meme when he did have success and was pumped. So it's weird. I don't know. I'll define myself. The older I get, I'm rooting for these people to be successful and not gonna shit on them, because I don't know. He's fucking like 22 years old. Like, him having a good game and then turning into a meme was just weird. And I think, for him to continue on that path that he was on, ending the season strong, the Giants are an absolute get right team when you're playing against them. You shit. All teams usually shit all over the Giants, and today is a good opportunity for JJ McCarthy to look good, put together a good game on his resume, and finish the season strong and get maybe some rapport with Justin Jefferson, who's probably due for a big day because every single week the Giants defense is giving up big plays left and right. Um, just go to the comments here from Omega, my boy. What are you thinking about the idea of getting rid of Dart and picking up a new QB? I absolutely hate that idea. I think we've all watched enough Giants games this season to understand that Jackson Dart is a legitimate NFL starter in this league. What he's done with little to no help, he's making everyone better. That was my biggest thing: is can he make other people better? And he has throughout this season. With head coach being fired, everyone's going to scream to the high heavens about him having to learn how to slide and shit. But that's something that will come with time. If I was in the Giants front office after the season, I'd say, Jackson Dart, you're going to sit down and you're just going to watch highlights of Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson's a guy who's played for a bunch of years now, and he doesn't really take half as big of a hits as Jackson Dart's been taking. But I can't just scream to the skies like this, like a boomer, and be like, I have to learn to slide every single week. He knows, he gets it, and that's the style of football he's going to play. Having said that, I don't want a new quarterback. There's so many other holes on this team. We need a wide receiver too. Darius Slayton ain't it. The run defense has been an abomination for the last 3 to 4 years. We need to figure that out. Is that drafting an inside linebacker? I'm not saying you're going to take a linebacker 1 overall, a guard 1 overall, a D tackle 1 overall, but there are a lot of holes on this roster that have to be filled, and I think Jackson Dart will be successful in the NFL. I don't really want to give up on him or trade him. I think it's completely just the national narrative is just doing this right now in the media because of the Giants do hold that first overall pick. Do I think they're going to end with it? I said in a video recently, no, that they're not, because they're playing the Raiders next weekend, and the Raiders look worse than the Giants. If they lose that, then they deserve, all options should be on the table. But I like Dart. I believe in Dart. I think he has everything, in his arsenal to be successful in the NFL. And I would love to see him have an opportunity with a real coach and someone, a wide receiver too, that's not Darius Slayton. Every time I see highlights of Barkley, I remember it's a reminder of bad decisions made by Joe Shane. Yeah, and they shoved it down our face the entire time, with the offseason Hard Knocks. They made everyone in the Giants front office look completely inept. Then after that, Saquon this season released his own documentary on the week that the Giants played the Eagles. That was on Prime, and they were just advertising and marketing the shit out of it, which was really, I didn't watch it. Some people are like, you have to watch it. If you like Saquon, you have to watch it. I'm like, I like Saquon, but he's not on the team anymore. I don't really care. He already had the season that he had last year that ended with the Super Bowl, ended with the Offensive Player of the Year award. So I've seen enough out of Saquon. But yeah, he's the main reason why Joe Shane should be fired. And even going back to it, it was a weird decision because they extended Jones, let Saquon walk. And who knows what the truth is with that. But we kind of saw it play out on Hard Knocks. I'm sure the Giants honestly might have even looked worse in that Hard Knocks, and they said, let's tone it down a little bit because we don't want to upset, the Maras in this $1 billion, evaluated franchise that the Giants are. I don't know. That's how I think the Giants avoided being on Hard Knocks for as long as they did. They were never on it on an off-season, whatever, preseason Hard Knocks training camp. They still haven't. And I think if they just agreed to do it those times when they were up to do it, it would have avoided them looking like complete jokes and looking, being memes and just laugh out loud funny. John Mara walking into the room being like, if he signs with who we think we're going to sign with, I don't know, I'm going to sleep at night. And the worst possible scenario came true. You let Saquon walk. You re-sign Danny Dimes, who sucks and gets hurt. And then Saquon just has the Offensive Player of the Year, MVP, or whatever, not MVP, but Offensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl winning season. It's kind of the biggest ultimate disaster you couldn't even imagine it. But it was, as Giants fans, we look in the back of our minds and we're like, how bad could this be? That was as bad as it could be. And then this season we had a bunch of those all time, like, oh wait, are we up? How many touchdowns are we up in the fourth quarter with only a couple minutes left? What could happen bad here? Oh yeah, we lose again. Um, so yeah, we're constantly reminded by it. We're constantly reminded of the boat pick. It's all shit that will go away eventually if the Giants can, win more and win another Super Bowl. I mean, I guess winning a Super Bowl is so far away at this point, but I don't think the Giants are going to be that bad, or could be that bad if they have a new coach. There is some talent there that can be unlocked, but they need a new coach to really tie everything together. Scatterbo and Neighbors injuries definitely impacted the season. How many more wins do you think we'd have still with them playing? I think we only saw one full drive. Like, this is what's crazy about the Giants when shit really goes bad in bad seasons. Like, I think we had one or two full drives of all three of those guys on the field at the same time during the Chargers game. Scatterbo, Neighbors, and Dart. Because that was the first game Dart started. Neighbors went down in the second quarter. So we never really got a chance to see what all three of them could do kind of at the same time through a elongated season. I don't know. I mean, I think, it's hard to say. We should have had a lot more wins, but it's not because of those three. It's because the defense shit the bed so bad. So I would have liked to see Brian Dable have a little bit more stones when it came down to that stuff and be like the Rams just fired Chase Blackburn. Giants fans know Chase Blackburn well, right? But he was the special teams coach for the Rams, and they just fired him, where they blew that game Thursday night, and they had like 3 straight issues of special teams, 3 straight weeks of special teams issues in a row. So Joe Shane or Brian Dable and Joe Shane should have made moves earlier. Probably could have maybe saved them. Because who knows how the season could have turned out if some of those, wins that we blew ended up winning. What else do I got? Kayvon Thibodeau on the IR. I got to do a video about him, a longer one about this coming offseason, because he is in a situation where he had a pretty bad season. And yes, he got better at his run defense, but do you pay someone some money for that when the run defense is so bad and has continually been bad? So I don't know what his future is. I think he's going to come back. They're not going to extend him or anything this offseason. I read an article the other day I posted on my Twitter about the potential of him trading him, which could be, enticing if you could get something back or some draft capital. I could be into that because, listen, you took Abdul Carter 3 overall. He has to start playing, and I know the D-line rotation is something that was wildly successful when the Giants won their previous 2 Super Bowls, but I don't know. I didn't see Kayvon Thibodeau on the same level of, a tuck coming into the rotation. You know what I'm saying? So, what else? Vikings are minus 2.5 in this game today. It should be more. I don't think the Giants really have a chance in this one, but it's the NFL, and this is stuff that happens where any team can win on any given Sunday. But I don't really feel like the Giants have a chance today. What else do we got? The Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua fight. Any of you guys watch that the other night? I missed watching it, but I watched the highlights the next day, and I love combat sports. I love UFC. I love the Rangers, probably second after the Giants, but UFC after that. And I don't really have a dog in the fight, but I do love combat sports, and that fight was very intriguing, and why I want to give a shout out or just respect to Logan Paul in that regard, even though or it was Jake Paul, right? Kind of a punk, but he had no reason to take this fight. Anthony Joshua was a gold medal Olympic boxer who is still arguably in his prime as a world heavyweight champion. $100 million, but in the bank for Paul for doing it, but it could have been worse, and he hung in there. Obviously looked like he was doing some of the grabbing of the legs and takedowns, but it's just kind of surviving, which anyone would probably do fighting, a 6'6" guy with like 5% body fat who's a world heavyweight champ. So I would give him respect. Even a lot of people hate him. We're happy to see him lose and have his jaw broken, but no one else would really do that. So, respect. What else we got? Anything else from you guys in the chat besides people, want to say you'd be a beautiful woman and stuff like that? What else? I mean, for the rest of the season, I think Justin Jefferson has a big day. The Giants secondary is terrible. They paid a shitload of money to Debo, Javion Holland, and they're not good. So I'd expect Justin Jefferson and JJ McCarthy to get on the same page. I think that's pretty much it for me. Hope you guys have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and yeah, that's it. I got a big family party today over here. Gonna try and watch the game as much as I can, but sometimes scheduling events are just out of my hands at this point. So gotta. I'll post a video later tonight, with the recap on how the game went. But yeah, try to find some silver linings. Tyrone Tracy, my boy, I could see him having a good game. Or if you're looking at a bet, maybe props over rushing receiving yards, because I think he's an underrated gem. So if you want someone to root for today, root for Tyrone Tracy Jr. Have a good one, y'all.